So let's continue with chemical bonding. Our main emphasis yesterday was on VSEPR and VPT theory. Hope you have understood that concept clearly and you are able to predict geometry of the compounds, which is the hybridization and all such things. Now, we also learned a little bit about Lewis theory. In Lewis theory, how to draw electron dot structure. In that, I want to give one clarification from yesterday's class. So let's see that question first. So just clarifying this for everyone here. So what we can do is, yesterday there was some confusion when we have like nitrogen and all as central atom, or when we have phosphorus and sulfur as central atom. What we can do is to make this question more easier. We can separate them out. What I mean to say is, when you're drawing Lewis structures, first you consider the central atom. Is it coming in your second row? If it is coming in your second row, then make sure it does not exceed octet. The octet. Okay, so this one condition you need to follow. If it is coming in third row, normally will not be asked any other rows. So if it's coming in third row, like phosphorus, third period is what I mean, sulfur, these are the normal halogens, chlorine, okay, not halogen, chlorine. So in that case, then it can exceed octet. So maybe I should put a cross here. It cannot exceed octet. Here it can exceed octet. Okay, so this is the first point. Now, once you classify, when it is actually second row elements, you can easily apply Lewis theory to draw. What you should do, first you count the valence electrons, and then you put a single bond everywhere, single bonds everywhere. Count the electrons, make sure everything has got octet, count electrons. See if this value and this value are matching, 1 and 2, are they matching? If 1 and 2 are not matching, then when for 2 extra electrons, you put 1 additional bond, 1 pi bond. So this is what we form, 1 pi bond. But when you have phosphorus, sulfur or chlorine as central atom, then those atoms can expand their octet. So you should not be counting octet for them. So in such cases, it becomes easier if you see the charge. For example, if you're having, like yesterday, we had a compound ClO3 minus. So you see the charge. One negative charge, meaning there will be one single bonded oxygen like this. Okay. And like that, you write the structure based on that concept. Other places you put double bond oxygen. One single bonded oxygen should be there because there is one negative charge. Now you count the valence electrons. Make sure central atom is having its proper valence electrons. Meaning in case of chlorine, it should be having 7 valence electrons. Like that you count. Or you count by using VSEPR, VBT, how many lone pairs are there. And that also you can place on the central atom. So this way you can solve this problem. Approach you can use is slightly different. I will take an example of yesterday's question. So there was some confusion there. Even I was confused for some time. So let's take that example and see the difference here. If I have NO3 minus and the other one was ClO3 minus. Now nitrogen is a second row element. So for nitrogen, what approach you use? You count the valence electrons and use that approach. So how many valence electrons are there? 5 in nitrogen plus 1, this additional electron, and 3 into 6 of oxygen. You're remembering this, right? 6, that is 24 valence electrons. So first I'll put 1 electron each like that, 1 oxygen like this. Count the valence electrons. Nitrogen also, right? Like this I do. When I count the valence electrons, I'm getting 26. Now 26 is 2 more than 24. I don't want it. So 1 pi bond only you introduce. So 1 pi bond I introduce. Now correct your number of electrons once again. You'll get like this. Agreed? Now what you'll do, put the formal charge. So this oxygen is minus, this oxygen is also minus, this oxygen has no charge. Check once again formal charge calculation. This oxygen has 6 valence electrons, this oxygen has 7, this also has 7. One extra, so minus minus. What about this nitrogen here? It has 4 electrons here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will be having a plus charge. So like this only you draw. I later on went ahead to say that as there is a plus and minus, it can form an additional bond. This part is wrong. I'm sorry about that. This part is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because this nitrogen cannot expand its octet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That nitrogen cannot do. Other elements can do. Third row elements can do, not nitrogen. So don't use this logic. You stop here. This is perfectly fine. Everyone is clear? Similarly, I'm doing for chlorate now. Chlorine is a third row element. It can expand its octet. So what I'll do, I'll use my shortcut wherein one negative charge normally means, of course, you have to count and see one single bonded oxygen rather than counting valence electrons and all. So that means 2 double bond oxygens are there. Now you check the electrons. So here you'll be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here you'll be having 4. Here also you'll be having 4. And we counted that this chlorine has a lone pair. How did I come to know this part? 2 ways. One way is we know chlorine has 7 valence electrons, 0 formal charge here. So whenever you take a third row element, make sure the central atom has 0 formal charge. So that will help you. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 0 formal charge chlorine has. Okay, overall charge is -1. What we also could do was put this in our VBT formula. So hybridization equal to halogen has 7 valence electrons plus 1 divided by 2. 8 by 2 is 4. 4, but there are only 3 bond pair, meaning one lone pair is there on chlorine. So I already know that there is a lone pair on chlorine. Let's apply the same formula here also and check whether there is any lone pair on nitrogen. 5 plus 1 by 2 is 6 by 2, that is 3. And there are 3 bond pairs, meaning there is 0 lone pair. So on nitrogen, there is no lone pair. Here on chlorine, there is a lone pair. Are you understanding, children, the difference between these two structures and how we approach it? Or is there any confusion? Each and every element should have octet in second row element, whereas if a third row element becomes a central atom, it can expand its octet. Watch out for phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine. These are the main atoms which can expand its octet. Okay, chlorate, you want me to explain again. So once again, I'm going here. In chlorate, you have understood that there is one lone pair. Did you understand that? We just applied our hybridization formula. Chlorine is a central atom. It contains 7 valence electron plus this one electron, 8 by 2, 4, 3 bond pairs. So there has to be one lone pair. We know there is one lone pair on this chlorine. Okay. Now the charge of chlorate is -1. So this is an extra tip. Okay. Most of the times it will work. So you also count the valence electrons. Here you also count the total electrons and check in case of a final paper. Okay. So now as there is -1 charge, I take one single like this chlorine, 1 O, because whenever I put single bond O, are you observing we are getting minus charge. So in case I would have had ClO3 2 minus or something, then I would have taken 2 oxygen with minus charge like that. If I had 3 minus, I would have taken 3 oxygen with minus charge. This is one slight tip. You can confirm it later. Okay. You can also do the valence electron method, but remember that chlorine will expand its octet. Rest of the elements you count their valence electrons and give them octet. Don't give for chlorine. That method I will also explain here. How many valence electrons are there in this whole compound here? So you have 7 in chlorine plus that 1 electron, 8 plus 6 into 3 for oxygen. 26. Okay, 26 electrons are there. So if I take chlorine, if I put one oxygen, one oxygen, one oxygen, if I put, okay, I already know lone pair, so I'm going to also put lone pair. Now, because there is a minus charge, I'll put minus here. Just count how many electrons are there. It should be matching. Count the electrons. So here we have 8. This is 8. This is also 8. This is also 8. 24 I have plus 2 electrons. So it is matching it, meaning your logic has worked here, where we took this minus 1, meaning one single bond O minus. This is the logic to be used. I'll ask you one question so that we are completely cleared with all this concept. Can you try to draw structure of phosphate ion, PO4 3 minus? What will be your approach? This approach, right? Because phosphorus is third row element. You can expand its octet. Did you understand my question? I'm asking you to draw for PO4 3 minus. How many double bonds and single bonds are there? Children, this is bracket, okay? This is not 1. So it is 8. From where I got 8, 7 from chlorine, and 1 electron is this plus 1. 7 plus 1, and this is 6 into 3. Did you get it? This was a bracket, not a 18. Okay. Okay. Okay, you got this? 3 single bond and 1 double bond. Okay, seems to be correct. Let's check that. So for phosphorus, because it is 3 minus, what I'm going to do is put single bond O minus, single bond O minus, single bond O minus, 3 minus. That's why. And I still have 1 oxygen, so I'm going to do double bond O. Now what I'm going to do is also check my phosphorus. Does it have any lone pair? So 5 valence electrons plus 3, this 3 divide by 2. 8 by 2 is 4. So sp3, there is no lone pair. Are you observing? Bond pair is also 4 only. So there is no lone pair on phosphorus. So leave it like this. Now you count the electrons. How much should it be and how much you are getting, and just verify your structure. Sometimes what happens, this logic does not work because some coordinate bond also sometimes will be there. So just check once whether the total valence electrons are also matching. Is it matching, children? Here also. So all the oxygens will be having octet, but central atom would have exceeded octet. Okay, this is how we count the valence electrons. 5 in phosphorus and 6 into 4 in oxygen plus 3 more electrons. (32). Are you having 32 here? Just check. This is 8. This is 8. This is 8. This is also 8. So how many are we getting? We are getting 32. Meaning your structure is fine. Now tell me, how many resonance forms can we write for phosphate? Correct. 4 resonance form. What we can do? We can put this double bond here also. We can put it here also. We can put it here also. And how much will be the bond order? So in here we are having P double bond O. In one more case, P single bond O. One more case, P single bond, single bond. So what is the average bond order here? 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 4. Correct? This will be the bond order. 1 point, what is that? 4, 2, 5. Okay, 1.25, correct. So that's our answer here. Now you're getting the hang of this Lewis structure. So sorry to confuse you about that nitrate structure. So we drew it correctly only. And remember that nitrogen will not expand its octet. No second row element will expand its octet. It will give perfect octet. Whereas phosphorus here, are you observing how much is its, how many electrons is surrounding it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expanded octet we call this. Okay. Okay, children. So this was about resonance theory. We'll just go ahead and see some more questions here. And then we will go to molecular orbital theory. This is about Lewis theory, resonance, where we saw, or octet theory, we can call it. I think we were on this much and all we didn't do. We did this. Question 6. Who has a higher dipole moment, H2O or HCl? Did we do this or not? We didn't do? Okay, we did. Okay, fine. So H2O and HCl, who has higher dipole? We anyway know that oxygen is more electronegative than chlorine. Fluorine is the most electronegative. Next to that comes oxygen. After that come chlorine and nitrogen. So higher electronegativity, higher will be the dipole moment. So oxygen, H2O will be having higher dipole moment as compared to HCl. Okay, so correct. Option B is correct. So we have finished up to 8, it seems, children. Looks like you all left early. This one also did we do? Sulfate. Okay, this you practice later, okay? Same logic you apply. Sulfur, is it capable of expanding its octet? It's a third row element. It can expand its octet. So therefore you know how to do it, right? Okay. You already got the answer. Excellent. Let's proceed then. Eighth question you finished. Okay. So this one is done. Let's go to the 9th question then. Increasing bond angle. Let's check, children. BF3, what is the bond angle? 120 degrees because it's trigonal planar. Okay, question number 8 is not done. Okay, fine. Okay, let's check this then. NH2 minus. What is the bond angle, children? Can you apply our formula here? 5 plus 2 monovalent atoms plus 1 electron divided by 2. 8 by 2 is sp3 hybridization. 4 we are getting. So how many lone pairs are there? 2 bond pair, 2 lone pair. Meaning, what is the bond angle? Like water, 104.5 degree. Approximately 104.5. Ammonia we already know. Can I directly write 107? Pyramidal, right? 1 lone pair is present. Whereas NH4 plus, can you tell me what is there any lone pair? What is the bond angle? What is the bond angle for NH4 plus? Correct, tetrahedral. Tetrahedral meaning what is the bond angle? 109 degree, 28 minutes. You're getting right, little bit fast. Let's do our calculations. Nitrogen is 5 valence electrons and we are adding 4 there, deducting 1 there because of the plus charge. Divide by 2. 9 minus 1 by 2, 8 by 2 is 4. Bond pairs are 4 only. Electron pairs are also 4, meaning lone pair is 0. That means a perfect tetrahedral structure, 109 degree, 28 minutes. So this has no lone pair and it has the highest bond angle. So which option is correct here? NH4 plus is having highest bond angle as compared to NH3 as compared to NH2 minus. Is this question clear? Okay, let's go to the next one then. Ammonia is not tetrahedral. Correct. Ammonia, who said is tetrahedral? Ammonia is pyramidal. Okay. 1 lone pair is there. sp3, but 1 lone pair. All of them are sp3. All of them are sp3. Total electron pairs is coming to be 4. But bond pairs is changing. Here we have 2 bond pairs. So 2 lone pairs we have here. Here we have 3 bond pairs. So 1 lone pair. And here we have 4 bond pairs. So 0 lone pair. 2 lone pair, the bond angle will be the least. Okay. Okay, next one here. Okay, calculate for this one, children. BF3, separate calculation you practice a little bit faster. 3 you remember, right? Valence electrons plus 3 by 2, that is 6 by 2, that is 3, sp2. What about pf3? What is the hybridization? sp3 only. Okay, 5 plus 3 by 2. That is sp3 I am getting, but with one lone pair, right? Here it was sp2, 0 lone pair. Okay, this is bond angle 120 degree. This is like ammonia. So I'll say approximately some 107. Okay, what about ClF3? How to draw? In fact, ClF3 is one of the important molecules. So how do we draw? You all know that we get T shape, right? Like this. You will be getting sp3d hybridization. Okay, 5 you'll be getting answer. So sp3d hybridization, 2 are lone pairs. Remember, we place lone pairs in equatorial position. So you get a T shape. Now, what is this bond angle? 90 degree. Okay, so who has a higher bond angle? Is option C correct? Yes, right? BF3 120. This is approximately 107 and this is 90 degree. Clear with the question and answer? Okay, next one. In terms of polar character, which of the following? Children, we know this, right? So just now I told you, fluorine is most electronegative. So you can consider that based on electronegativity order. Which one will you select? This looks fine, right? Fluorine is most, oxygen is second most, nitrogen and chlorine are third most, and sulfur, therefore, we have put in the end. So based on electronegativity order, you can select. Option B. So going to the next question here. Arrange the following in order of increasing NO bond length. Okay, great. So this is a practice of our resonance structure also, Lewis structure also, and hybridization also. First, let's apply hybridization. This one is easier. So let's do this first. Can you tell me the bond angle of NO2 plus, NO2 minus, and NO3 minus? Come on, children, you only have to do. Are you done? Okay, I think you took enough time here. Check your answers. So for NO2 plus 5 minus 1, plus charge is there. So minus 1 by 2, that's you got 2. Did you get 180 degrees? Because it will be linear shape. 2 is our answer and 2 are the bond pairs. So linear shape. Coming to the next one here. I got 3 total electron pairs, but there are only 2 bond pairs, meaning 1 lone pair is there. Meaning normally it should have been 120. Looks like it is less than 120. Angular shape, we call it, right? That shape. Next one. Check your answer. So 5 plus 1 by 2, that is 3, meaning bond pairs are also 3. So we are getting perfect trigonal planar, 120 degrees. So can you arrange them? So we have 180 will be first, NO2 plus will be first, and then comes your NO3 minus, and then comes your NO2 minus. Do you agree with this order? Any confusion? Now what you do is draw the, now how to find out bond length? Bond angle you found out. How to find bond length? To find out bond length, you have to use the Lewis structure only. So unfortunately, you have to draw the Lewis structure for each one. Anyway, it is good practice for us. So why don't you try and draw for NO2 plus? Why don't you try and draw for NO2 plus? So you have 2 oxygen and you have nitrogen. 5 you have +6, +6, -1. This many valence electrons you have. 60. So what we'll do, we'll take nitrogen, we'll put 1 oxygen here, we'll put 1 oxygen here. And we will count how many electrons are there. So this would be 8, 8, 20 I will be getting. If I put single bond, I'm getting 20. What does it mean? I'll put 2 bonds, 2 extra bonds. So I'll put 1 here and 1 here. Now you put the electrons and check. So you'll be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And my middle nitrogen is fine. It's already having an octet there. Let's calculate the formal charge. What is the formal charge for this oxygen? 0. This oxygen, 0. Who can tell me formal charge for this nitrogen here? What is the, how many valence electrons are there in nitrogen? Correct. How many valence electrons in nitrogen? 5. But now what do I, how many do I have? You see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all. 1 less I'm having, meaning it is having plus charge. Children, you're all giving me different varied answers. Okay, nitrogen has 5 valence electrons, you know, right? Like this 3, 4, 5, like this we draw nitrogen. And now it is having only 4, meaning what did it do? Gave 1 electron, meaning it became plus charge. So nitrogen has +1 formal charge. Okay, so that's what is my structure. See, NO2 plus it is. That's why it is NO2 plus. Okay, so now if you count this, you'll get correctly. So what is the bond order then here? Bond order is 2, number of bonds between 2 atoms. Even if you write resonating structures, those resonating structures, what you can do is you can put triple bond here, single bond here, or you can put triple bond here, single bond here. These structures are not that contributing towards the actual structure. This only is the correct structure, resonating structure. So if you were to count the bond order, here it is 2, right? And even if you take the average, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 by 3 is also coming to be 2. This tells you clearly that this itself is the correct structure of NO2 plus. So bond order for NO2 plus is 2. We already calculated for NO3 minus. Anyone remembers how much it was? We had 1 double bond or 2, 3, 4, 4 by 3, right? So 1.3 something. And NO2 plus we calculated just now, it is 2. All I want now is NO2 minus bond order. Can you try? Draw the structure. NO2 minus bond angle is not determined. It is determined. Okay. See, NO2 minus, you concluded that the H value is 3, right? Bond pairs are how many? 2, meaning lone pair is 1. When you have 2 bond pairs and 1 lone pair, What will it resemble? What is the geometry? Angular. Okay. When you have all three bond pairs, it is 120. But now you are having angular, meaning less than 120. So this much if we know, it is enough. Because this is 120, this is less than 120, and this is 180. So we can compare. And approximately it will not vary much. It will be around some 115 to 120 region. Okay, so approximately we can say that is the bond angle. Okay, children, what happened to our last compound here? What did you get the bond order as for NO2 minus? I'll clear this. Once again, explain and draw in case you're confused. NO2 minus. So 5 valence electrons plus 6 plus 6 plus 1. 18. Okay, so taking in and putting oxygen. Oxygen already I have calculated actually that 5 plus 1, 6 by 2, it has a lone pair. So that helps here. Okay, so that means I think there is one more bond. I'm just going to write it and then calculate. So minus here. So total electrons are 8 here, 8 here, 16 and 17, 18. So it's coming to be correct here. Now what will I do in my resonance structure? My resonance structure, I'll put oxygen here. Meaning what is the bond order? 2 plus 1, 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is 1.5. So NO2 minus is 1.5. NO3 minus was some 1.33 or something. And NO2 plus came to be 2, right? So this is the order of bond order. Okay, bond angle once again, let's discuss. I'm not sure if I gave the order to you correctly. NO2 plus had bond angle 180 degrees. Okay, NO2 minus had bond angle less than 120 degrees. And NO3 minus had 120 degrees. So who is the highest? NO2 plus only. And next, who is the highest? NO3 minus. And who comes last? NO2 minus. NO3 minus had how much? Let me just check. 5 plus 1, 6 by 2. 5 plus 1, 6 by 2, 3. If it is 3, it is sp2. 120 degrees, not 109. If I said 109, I'm sorry. This is 120 degrees, okay? NO3 minus is 120. And this is less than 120. And this is 180. Now clear? Nitrogen more 3 atoms. What does that mean? I didn't. Okay, children. So bond order, lesser is the bond length. So opposite will be your sequence. Very good. Shall we proceed? Plus 2 by 2. sp3. 6 plus 0 by 2. it's coming to be sp2, same as this one. So you got your answer. You can just go ahead and calculate for others. 6 plus 2 by 2, 8 by 2 is 4, so sp3. And this will be same as this because sulfur here and here is same. But even if you want, you can calculate, no problem. So here also 6 plus 2 by 2 only it will come to be. So 4 sp3. Clear with this question? Answer is option B. Next question. Okay, little bit now, faster response I want. You have all understood how to do it, right? Okay, tell me what is ozone? What is a hybridization? Others also, you can participate now. Now you're clear with this concept, right? Same questions are repeating. Come on, little faster. Only why I should get 5 answers. More than 5 I should get, right? Okay, ozone is, oxygen is the central atom attached to 2 oxygen, right? So ozone 6, that's all, by 2. So 3, meaning the hybridization is sp2. Okay, what about I3 minus? This also we did, I think, in yesterday's class. Once again, iodine, very important for competitive. Iodine is the central atom, 7 valence electrons attached to 2 monovalent atoms and 1 more electron, divide by 2, 8, 9, 10 by 2, which is 5. So sp3d. But what is the shape? You're having 3 lone pairs and 2 bond pairs. What is the shape, children? So if you have 3 lone pair, you put it here, here, here. And you just have iodine, iodine here, iodine here, iodine here. So what is the shape? Linear. So what is the bond angle in a linear structure? 180. Who can beat 180? Nobody else. So you got your answer there. So 180 is the maximum angle that we have seen. So 180 degrees you're getting. NO2 minus, anyway, you know how to do that. Okay, linear we are getting. Everyone agrees? So who is the highest bond angle? Option B. See carefully whether they have given I3 minus or I3 plus. Don't jump and say linear when you see I3 plus, you'll get wrong. Let's go next. If the central atom in a certain molecule has 2 lone pair and 3 bond pair, what is the shape, children? How to identify if a compound has lone pair without writing Lewis structure? Look at our table that we drew yesterday. We calculated, right? That H value gives you total electron pairs. If the total number of bond pairs is not matching, if it's 4, meaning lone pair is 0. If it is 3, meaning there is 1 lone pair. If it is 2, meaning there are 2 lone pairs, and so on. Okay, that will give you an idea. That's a better way actually to solve. Coming back here, if the central atom has 2 lone pair and 3 bond pair, 2 lone pair where to draw, will draw here. And 3 bond pair, I will draw 1 bond pair here, 1 bond pair here, 1 bond pair here. Right? Total 5 trigonal bipyramidal way, but 2 are lone pairs. So what is this shape called as? T shape. Option A. Agreed, right? Okay. Next one. The electron affinity of carbon is it greater than oxygen? No, right? As we go across the period, the electron affinity should go on increasing. Electron affinity is negative electron gain enthalpy. It should go on increasing except for chlorine, fluorine case. Fluorine is less than iodine. No, chlorine is greater, but next comes fluorine only, right? Chloride is less than chlorine. Chloride and chlorine. Children, by mistake, I think this question has come here. It's a periodicity question. Well, the question here means, is it easier to add an electron to Cl minus or to Cl? It's easier to add an electron to Cl. Okay, not Cl minus. So option C is our answer here. But then this question itself is like not from this chapter. So I'm going next here. And here finally comes our molecular orbital theory. I think one question has already gone past. Don't worry, there are similar questions. So let's just discuss now molecular orbital theory before going further. Now, first and foremost thing, in molecular orbital theory, you have to count total number of electrons. Otherwise, you may go wrong. Count total number of electrons. Now, what you do is you need to know a certain electronic configuration. It's not that difficult like your first year where you have to draw the energy level diagram. In your competitive paper, they can't ask that, right? So just need to memorize the configuration. So there are two configurations now. One is when your total electrons is greater than 14. When your total electrons are greater than 14, write the molecular orbitals. How to write, children? You all know the molecular orbitals. 1s combines with 1s, meaning two atomic orbitals combine to form two molecular orbitals. One is sigma 1s, one is sigma star 1s. This is bonding, this is anti-bonding. Anti-bonding will always be at a higher energy. It will be filled later. Okay, similarly, and sigma represents the bond which is formed. You all know that S and S overlap to form sigma bond. Okay, now let's combine 2s and 2s. 2s and 2s combine to form sigma 2s and sigma star 2s. Star represents anti-bonding. Sigma bond is formed. Sigma 2s is lesser in energy. It will be filled first, then comes sigma star 2s. Okay, now what comes, children? Before going to 3s, you know that after 1s, 2s comes 2p. So now 2p has to combine with 2p. The problem is in 2p only there are three things. So 2px has to combine, 2py and 2pz. 2px combines with 2px. 2py combines with 2py. 2pz combines with 2pz. Now out of this, in our part of chemistry, in inorganic chemistry, Z is normally considered as a reference axis or internuclear axis. So when Z and Z overlap, it is a sigma bond formation, whereas X will be pi bond formation, lateral overlap. Y will also be lateral overlap. Okay, so Z and Z will form sigma 2pz and sigma star 2pz, but 2px and 2py will form pi and pi. Okay, now let's write bonding and anti-bonding for all these orbitals. So when total electrons is greater than 14, we write like this. You have to memorize this. It's very, very important. Sorry, let's not write electrons. Let's just write the orbitals. In this order, it is filled. Try to memorize now only if you didn't know. Now come your P. So sigma 2pz comes first, pi 2px, and it is equal to pi 2py. Sigma is not equal, pi and pi are equal. Now how to memorize this is, you write it symmetrically, meaning all pi you put together. So now I'll put pi star 2px equal to pi star 2py. And lastly, you put sigma star 2pz. Total you should be having, if you write like this, you're having 10 orbitals, 10 molecular orbitals, which can hold, each molecular orbital can hold 2 electrons. So total 20 electrons you can hold with this configuration. That much only you need to know. Okay, so this is the order. So the first 2 electrons will fill this orbital. One electron goes here, second one also goes here. Third one goes here, then fourth one goes here. Fifth one goes here, sixth one goes here. Seventh one goes here, eighth one goes here. Ninth goes here, 10th goes here. 11th comes equally. 11th and 12th, they fill singly before pairing occurs. 13 and 14, Hund's rule we apply. 15, 16, then comes 17, 18, and then 19, 20. This is how the electrons are filled. Okay, this is how you should know how to write the configuration. Now there is one change which occurs when you have total electrons less than or equal to 14. Okay, what is that change? This one orbital, sigma 2pz orbital, it comes here. This is the change. Don't disturb all other orbitals. They will be where they are only. Don't disturb this one and all. Sigma star 2pz always comes last. There is no question about it. So how you can remember and not forget this is that for oxygen and all 4 pi come together. Maybe you can remember like that. For 16 and all pi should come like this together. 2 pi bonding, 2 pi antibonding. So where do you put sigma? You put it first only. But for nitrogen, carbon, beryllium, boron, and for all other things, what you'll do, this sigma 2pz comes after your pi 2px and pi 2py. This is the difference. So both of them you should be knowing. Initially, when they were atomic orbitals, 2px, 2py, and 2pz had same energy, right? But now when they became molecular orbitals, they are having different energy levels. I will write the other one also correctly here, so that you can also learn it correctly and there's no confusion. One easy way to remember is this way, right? You remember for more than 14 and then you make your change. You don't need to memorize both and get confused. Now, many questions can be framed here. So the sigma 2pz kind of, remember all bonding always come together. Before anti-bonding, we have placed bonding. Here also it's the same. Bonding came, then comes anti-bonding. The only difference is this sigma 2pz, it came later. It came here. In between the 2 pi's, it came. Okay, so this is the change. Now, let's apply this concept. So what is the use of this? Now, this tells us mainly about the bond order. And then you can also tell about the magnetic property. Magnetic property, by now you know, if there is single electron, unpaired electron, that means it is paramagnetic. If it has more number of unpaired electrons, then it is more and more its magnetic property increases. If its unpaired electron is decreasing, then we will say it is becoming lesser paramagnetic. If it is zero, then we call it as diamagnetic. So magnetic property, you know how to tell. You should just know how to write the configuration correctly. Bond order. Now there is a formula for bond order. It is just very simple formula. How many electrons are there in bonding orbital minus the number of electrons present in anti-bonding divided by 2. This is the bond order. What is bond order? Number of bonds present between two atoms. Now, so this is the theory. So let's apply this. H2 molecule first I'm taking. What configuration shall we write, children? For H2, total electrons, how much we have? Each hydrogen has 1 electron. So 1 plus 1, right? So total electrons are 2. Where shall we place these 2 electrons? In sigma 1s. Sigma 1s 2. That's all. Configuration is done. Now what do we do? Let's calculate bond order. Bond order equal to 2 minus, that is number of electrons in bonding, minus 0 divided by 2. What is the answer to this? 1. Meaning between hydrogen and hydrogen atom, there is 1 bond. Okay, so question here is, yesterday we calculated bond order using another formula. Yesterday we did different molecules. Okay, so those molecules were not diatomic. They didn't have 2 atoms. Did you understand when to apply molecular orbital theory? Molecular orbital theory is applied when we use H2 or N2 or O2 or NO, CO. Only 2 atoms are there. That time we apply molecular orbital theory. This is what we have to do. If they say NO2, then we can't apply this theory. That time you will use VSEPR or VBT theory. If they say NO2, NO3, PCl5 and all, then we can't apply this. Clear with this? When to apply which theory? So molecular orbital theory is when you are having only two atoms. Okay. Okay, my question now is H2 molecule paramagnetic or diamagnetic? Correct, it is diamagnetic. Why? Both the electrons are present in my first orbital. They are obviously two electrons are present, meaning it is paired up. So no unpaired electrons are there, diamagnetic. If I had one, okay, fine. Now someone is asking what is BO? BO is bond order. Okay. Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm changing this thing. Now I'm using H2 plus. How many electrons in H2 plus, children? Correct. In H2 plus, we had two electrons, okay, fine, but we lost one electron, so we have only one electron. What happened to the configuration now? Sigma 1s 1. That's all. And what is the bond order now? What are you getting? Okay, very good. It's paramagnetic because now it has unpaired electron. Can you tell me what happened to its bond order? One electron in bonding, 0 electrons in anti-bonding, divide by 2. So my bond order is 0.5, half. Okay, not a complete bond, partial we can say it has some bond character. If I, in a similar manner, if I'm taking some, okay, random, H2 2 minus, H2 2 minus, how many electrons it has and what is the bond order? The number of electrons present, hydrogen had 2 electrons and now 2 more electrons. You're understanding when I say H2, one hydrogen has 1 electron, one more hydrogen has 1 electron and 2 minus. So 2 more electrons, total is 4. So 4 electrons we have, and so we can write sigma 1s2. We also have to go to the next one, sigma star 1s2. If you calculate the bond order, bonding electrons 2 minus 2 divide by 2, that is my answer comes to be 0. I can say that H2 2 minus does not exist. There is no bond between hydrogen and hydrogen in H2 2 minus. It does not exist. There is one more way that we can do this. We have done some compounds in PU level in first year. Those, if you remember properly, in comparison also you can say, or in general knowledge also you can tell, like helium, you know, right? Helium is a noble gas. So helium 2 molecule, it will have bond order 0. Now helium 2 molecule has 4 electrons. You can compare here. H2 2 minus also has 4 electrons. So this and this bond order will be same. Of course, when you have few electrons, it is very easy to write and do it. But when you have higher number of electrons, do you know how many bonds are present in N2? General knowledge, I'm not asking you to calculate. How many bonds are present between a nitrogen atom and another nitrogen atom? 3, right? Okay. So bond order in nitrogen is 3. We'll calculate and see. For now, we'll assume it is 3. We know it. We have used it many places. Now, if I tell you, say, for example, O2 2 plus, what is the bond order? What will you tell me? Immediately you have to tell me the answer. What happened? Immediately no answer is coming. Very good. So the answer once again comes to be 3 because I'm comparing it. How many electrons are present? Oxygen has 8 electrons. One more oxygen, 8 electrons, minus 2. 16 minus 2 is 14. Just like nitrogen. Nitrogen also had 14 electrons. So similar to nitrogen, its bond order will also be 3. Like this, without calculation, we can tell if we know certain bond orders for sure. Let's check this one, children. Do you know between oxygen and oxygen, how many bonds are there? 2, right? Okay. So bond order for oxygen, we know is 2. Of course, we'll write the configuration and recheck it. Can you tell me if I take nitrogen N2 2 minus, what is the bond order? Correct. You're getting the concept. So this is one way to do this question very fast. So 14 electrons are there in N2 and 2 more, meaning it became like oxygen, 16 electrons. like oxygen it became. So we can say that just like that, this also has bond order 2. Okay, so this is one shortcut to doing things. Let's now take the long cut. I want you to tell me the bond order. Let's write down the configuration for N2 first. Shall we write down? So 14 electrons total. So sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. I should not put sigma 2pz now only because it is 14. First I'll put pi. Till here I got. Did you all get this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So till here we got. Calculate the bond order now. If you want, when you're calculating bond order, you can cancel if they have equivalent bonding and anti-bonding. This and this you can cancel. This and this you can cancel. Or you count total, whichever is easy for you and clear for you, you follow that. So actually, how many electrons are remaining in bonding orbital? 6. So, and are there any in anti-bonding? No, 6 minus 0/2. So are you getting bond order 3? I will do in the other way also. Count all of them. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 in bonding and 2, 4 in anti-bonding. 10 minus 4/2 also will give you the same answer. That is bond order is 3. Clear, children? Is N2 molecule paramagnetic or diamagnetic? N2 molecule is diamagnetic, right? All electrons are paired up. Okay, it is diamagnetic. Now I will twist this question and ask you in few different ways. If I remove an electron from N2, I will get N2 plus, right? N2 has bond order 3. If I remove an electron, I get N2 plus. N2 plus, when I am removing an electron, if you know that the last orbital was bonding, here only you can tell children, if you remove an electron from bonding orbital, bond order decreases. If you remove an electron from anti-bonding, bond order will increase. Similarly, with the adding electron, if you're adding electron to bonding, bond order increases. If you're adding to anti-bonding, it decreases. So there only you can tell. So where are you removing electron from bonding? Meaning what should happen to the bond order? It should decrease. So there only you know that it's going to decrease. And N2 plus, meaning once again, where are you removing the second electron? Also from bonding only. So bond order decreases further. This you can tell by imagination also. You don't have to write this. If you know N2 properly, then you can imagine and tell this, which is the last orbital you can think and tell this. This is a way to do it faster. Now we will also do it in the normal method. So I'm removing this one electron and this became N2 plus. What is the bond order? 5 minus 0/2. That is correct. Your all answers are correct. It is 2.5. And for N2 2 plus, 4 minus 0/2. That is, we are getting 2. So who has the highest bond order? N2 as compared to N2 plus as compared to N2 2 plus. Now I'll ask you a few questions. Who has the highest bond dissociation energy? Highest bond dissociation. Where is it very difficult to break the bond? Correct. Where is it difficult? N2. Higher the number of bonds, more number of bonds are there, meaning difficult to break. So who needs more energy? That also order is same. Now, who has the highest stability? Who is most stable? Once again, N2. Correct. Because more number of bonds, meaning it will be that much stable. Now, who has the highest bond length? Now it changes because more number of bonds, meaning the atoms come closer. So now who will be having N2 2 plus? So, but just by knowing bond order, you should be able to compare all these relative values. Okay. Okay, someone here is asking, how did it become 0? So I did a shortcut here. There are two methods to calculate bond order. Either you calculate all the electrons. Maybe that's what you were doing. So in that case, you will be getting, if it is 1 here, this is 5 here, and 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're getting 9 minus 4 by 2, 2.5. And in this case, you'll be getting 8 minus 4 by 2. That is 2. Either way you follow, don't get confused. Whichever way you're following, that's fine. Both answers are correct. Okay, any other doubts you have? Who is paramagnetic? Excellent. Who is the most paramagnetic here? Only one species is paramagnetic. Who is that? N2 plus is paramagnetic. Okay. N2 is diamagnetic because you had 2 here and 2 here. N2 2 plus, you lost both these electrons. So that was also diamagnetic. N2 plus, you had 1 electron here. So only this one was paramagnetic. You're understanding this theory clearly? Okay, I had one more question here. Yeah. Can you tell me N2 2 plus resembles which normal molecule? Which molecule does it resemble? Correct. See, so many C's coming suddenly. C2 molecule. Okay, so it resembles C2. Why? Carbon has 6 electrons, so 2 carbons will be having 12 electrons, right? Okay, now I want to tell you one unique thing about this C2 molecule, even N2 2 plus molecule. What is that unique thing? First of all, let me write its configuration correctly. Anyone knows what I'm trying to tell? You should be knowing this point. Okay, when I'm writing C2 molecule, I have only till here, right? I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Only till here I'm having. Okay. Now, so this one and this one cancels itself out when I'm calculating bond order. This one and this one cancels itself out. So now I'm having 4 minus 4 electrons in bonding, 0 in anti-bonding, divide by 2. And I'm getting bond order 2. Now, normally when you're writing any molecule, say for example, you're writing nitrogen. One of these bonds is sigma and these two bonds are pi. Correct? When you're writing any compound, normally in organic chemistry also we do this. When you're writing, say for example, alkyne, we say that one is sigma and two are pi, right? So the first bond is sigma, we say, and then we have pi. Now in C2 molecule, it's an exceptional case. Both the bonds are pi bonds. See, in C2 molecule, both the bonds are pi. The reason for this is right here in the electronic configuration. You see all the bonding electrons are in pi orbitals only. Understanding? So 4 electrons are there in pi only. So that means 2 pi bonds. So therefore, C2 molecule, this question can be asked. I think it was asked before. C2 molecule has both bonds pi. Remember this point. It's an important point. Okay, similarly, they can ask you any question. You should be able to handle it fine. One extra point I want to tell you here. If you have the same bond order, sometimes that happens. So you have the same bond order. For example, you have H2 plus and H2 minus. Do you have the same bond order, children? H2 plus meaning sigma 1s1. H2 minus meaning sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s1. Bond order here is 1 minus 0 by 2, that is 0.5. And bond order here is 2 minus 1 by 2, that's also 0.5. When bond order is coming same, now how to say which is more stable? Bond order is same. Now how to say which is more stable? No. Now what you have to see is in this H2 plus, there are 0 antibonding electrons. No electrons are present in antibonding orbital. Whereas in H2 minus, we have 1 electron in antibonding orbital. So who is more stable? When all the electrons are in bonding orbital, that is more stable than if there are few electrons in antibonding. More the electrons in antibonding, more unstable it is. But remember, this only applies when you have same bond order. Then only you go to see this extra point. Normally in a NEET exam, I don't think they might ask you, but in case they ask, remember this point, that if there are more electrons in antibonding, that becomes less stable if the bond order is same. So far, okay? Everything has been clear? Now, I have explained to you all the concepts. Let's go and see some questions here. Now, there's no time to do that. How did you do in them? You take today also, and you do that. You also go through end of chapter questions today. And tomorrow we will discuss that. Okay, so today we are slightly running out of time. Yeah, yesterday's homework answers. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do this question and we'll try to do as many questions as possible there. Okay, look at this. Now this is not homoatomic. Homoatomic meaning both the atoms will be same. It's heteroatom, atomic. No problem. No need of getting tense looking at it. Just count the total number of electrons. How many electrons are there in this? Carbon has 6 total electrons, not valence. Nitrogen has 7. And then one more. Meaning how many children? 14. 14 meaning which does it resemble? It resembles? Why so much time? Whom does it resemble? N2 molecule, correct? Right? N2. So like N2, we can compare now. C or Cn also must be having triple bond. We can say that it's also diamagnetic like N2. All these things we can compare. Okay, now the question is, electron is lost from. So do you remember in N2, which was the last orbital which got filled? Sigma 2pz was the one which got filled. Okay, so which orbital is our answer here? Option A. So comparison you should do and tell now. You should not say that I don't know how to do this one. So once again, to differentiate between questions based on VBT and this one, here you'll have only 2 atoms. What will you talk about geometry when you have only 2 atoms? It will be linear only, no? Like there's nothing. When you have at least 3 atoms, then you can talk about geometry. Okay, next one. So I think these questions you can figure out, children. A little bit I'm going fast. These and all are very easy. They are all based on your VSEPR and VBT theory. This also very easy. Please go through all these questions today. This one also trigonal planar I3 minus. We are expert at it. I think the question is wrong there. It should be like this. Okay, I3 minus it should be. Okay, proceeding here. Yeah, let's do this one. One more at least, let's do a revision of this concept before going to our homework questions. Which of the following is not correct with respect to bond length? You get working, children. I will also get working. You can compare your answers. So boron, if you want, you can write the configuration. What's your answer, children? Did you get for B2 and B2 plus? Sadly, our answer is the last answer. Did you all get? Are you getting all these things? 16 electrons and 17 electrons. And here we know that the bond order is 2. And 17 meaning 1.5. One more trick I'll teach you here. So less number of bonds meaning more is the bond length. Are you ready for, did you do at least a few of them? Bond order and bond length are not at all same. Bond order meaning how many bonds are present between two atoms. So 3 bonds, bond order is 3. Bond length meaning what is the distance between these two. Okay, so if there is a triple bond, the distance is less. If there is a double bond, the distance increases. This is a triple bond. So you have like this. If there is a double bond, it becomes like this. If it's a single bond, it increases further. How 1.5? Okay, so children, what we can do here is, see, oxygen is 16 electrons and O2 minus is 17 electrons, right? Okay, now what comes next? 18, right? So 18 is which molecule? Fluorine, F2. And between fluorine and fluorine, how many bond is present? One bond is present. Agreed? One bond is present. So if 18 electrons, we have one bond, and 16 electrons, we have two bonds. 17 electrons, we will be having intermediate 1.5. Like this also you can do this. Okay, so that's one tip here. So if you know how many bonds in fluorine, fluorine has one bond and oxygen has two bonds, then 16 electron species will be having two bonds, 18 electron species will be having one bond, so 17 electron species will be having 1.5 bond. Similarly, we'll apply this logic. N2 we know has 14 electrons, it has 3 bonds, so 15 electrons will be having intermediate 2.5. Okay. Similarly, you can consider like 13 electrons if we have. 12 electrons we know is C2, which has 2 bonds. So 13 electrons will be having 2.5. Intermediate. Like this, some relation you can work out for checking your answer or to quickly arrive at the answer. Of course, you can write this and see. I normally use this logic that oxygen, I know very clearly because it was, I'm talking in your perspective. It was an important question for the final exam. So you all know that you filled last 2 electrons in pi star orbital. Do you remember? You write this electron and see. Okay, 2 electrons you fill in pi star. So what we are doing O2 minus, we are adding one more anti-bonding electron only. So bond order will obviously decrease. Write and see. Okay, write and practice. This, all these things you write and practice. For B2 and B2 plus, I have written here, see. Okay, you want me to proceed like that. Okay. So for beryllium and all, I don't know if you remember the bond order. Beryllium, boron and all. So that's why I didn't go on with this order. Okay. They are simple. You can write the configuration and quickly check. This ones are, you have to write so many things and figure out. That's why I gave you this shortcut. N2, O2, F2 anyways, 3, 2 and 1. So I can work out these shortcuts. Okay, children, let's, I think we have now 15 minutes. So let's go check our homework questions here. Are you all ready? Practice this. Now I've taught you all the concepts, you know everything. So we are actually on 23. We have of course skipped some questions, but I think I have taught you all the concepts. So do you think you can manage this chapter? Or you want me to do one more day of this chapter only? That you let me know, because this time we have one more chapter, organic chemistry also we have, and that will also require some time. I don't know how good you all are at that. Concepts all we have done and various problems we have worked. So I think you should be in a good position to get all your chemical bonding questions right. Okay, if you don't agree with me, you can just let me know. Let's go to our questions here. Okay, here you'll see slightly more the number of electrons, higher is the bond order. We should not tell because fluorine, you know, has so many electrons. It has what, 18 electrons, but the bond order again decreased, right? So I don't know. We have to write the configuration. It depends upon, is it occupying bonding or anti-bonding? Okay, so few extra concepts are there here. So let's quickly understand. One of the concept that I saw was 2 times they have asked, in fact, isoelectronic. Isoelectronic meaning same number of electrons, right? And here we can also use the term for isoelectronic. We can first check valence electrons. That will become easier. Otherwise, with atoms like iodine and all, you will sit counting, oh God, what is the atomic number and how to count and all. You'll be really worried. So there is no problem. You can check when it means isoelectronic in this chapter, chemical bonding, with respect to molecules. That time you can use the logic, same valence electrons. And we all know to count valence electrons, right? And isostructural meaning pyramidal, pyramidal, tetrahedral, tetrahedral, like that. Okay, so same structure. So let's do this, children. What's our answer here? What did you get? Not done, maybe. So I can see here that I can see here that option 3 is the correct answer. No, didn't get. Okay, I think option 3 is the correct answer because 7 here, iodine is 7 and 2 monovalent atoms, bromine plus 1 divided by 2. 8, 9, 10 by 2 is giving 5. And we are having XeF2. So 8 electrons. Remember, Xe, noble gas, 8 valence electrons, 2 monovalent atoms divided by 2. 10, 8, 10 by 2, 5. Here only you can see, children, see this has 7 electron plus 1. So isn't it similar to 8? So there only you can see, get a clue that it's also isoelectronic. Now 5, 5 we have. Here we have 2 bond pairs. Here also we have 2 bond pairs. So everything is same here actually. What is the shape? Linear shape. The shape was supposed to be like this. But then you're having 3 lone pairs, 2 bond pairs. So it became linear shape. Both of them have linear shape. Both of them have the same number of valence electrons. Valence electrons in iodine is full you count, okay? For the whole molecule you count. So valence electrons for iodine is 7 and you're adding 1 electron. And then bromine is also 7 and 7. Whereas XeF2, 8 plus fluorine is 7 and 7. So it is isoelectronic, same number of valence electrons, plus it also has the same structure. Option 3 is our answer here. Okay, those are getting a different answer, something you have done wrong. How you can get option 4? 7, 10 by 2, 5 you are getting. This also 5 you are getting. But here you are having 3 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs. Here you are having 2 bond pairs and 3 lone pairs. So difference will be there in the geometry, T shape and linear shape. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Let's go a little bit quickly. So I'll just tell you the answers. If you have any question, if it was a really tough question, you let me know. So the second question, the answer is 120 degrees. So it is BCl3. Correct. Very good. Okay. The third question, if you want, let's mark it neatly here so that in case you have not done and if you want to take a screenshot, you can. Which has the same bond order. Now this we did today. So let's focus on this. You check the number of electrons. If the number of electrons are same, the bond order will be same, right? Which one is looking same? Okay, someone is telling 2. So I'm going to check 2 here. This is 16 and this is 7 and 8, 15 and this is plus charge here. So that's not our answer. Which one has same number of electrons, children? Let's see the option 3. Very good. Option 3. So this is 6 electrons plus nitrogen is 7 electrons, 1 more electron. And this is 6 and 8. So we are getting same number of electrons 14 in fact. So bond order is 3 in both the cases. Okay, so that's one extra type of question here. Now this one is some match the following. So if there is only one bond, children, if there are only two atoms and there is only one bond, what can you tell about its shape? It will be just one line, right? You can either write like this, or you write like this, or you write however you want like this. It will be linear only in shape. There is no shape there as such. So we will just call it linear in shape. So this is A. And then you know how to do the others. So I'll directly tell you the answer. So A is 3 and B is, they are halogen. Okay, you understood that, right? Central metal is 7. I'm hoping if I solve B, I'll get the rest of them. 8, 9, 10 by 2, that is 5. But 3 bond pairs, 2 lone pair. T shape. So B is 1. Okay, B is 1, meaning I'm getting option 3 correctly. No other answer is like this. Everyone okay with that? Let's go next question. Which of the following set of molecules have zero dipole moment? Okay, this is very good question because I don't think we had many of this type of questions in our PPT. Dipole moment is also an important factor. So let me know if I have told about this yesterday. So in dipole moment, what happens is we should know who has zero dipole moment. When will you have zero dipole moment? First of all, when you're having symmetry. We know this in organic chemistry also. So say for example, if you're having CO2, double bond O, if we know its geometry, it is linear and there are only 2 bond pairs, hybridization is also sp, then I can write this structure, I can see it is symmetrical. But same structure, if they ask us SO2, it does not have symmetry because it has lone pair. Count and see. So 6 plus sp2 hybridized, only 2 bond pairs are there. So one lone pair is there. Once you have a lone pair, shape also is angular. So if you have double bond O, and if you're having a lone pair here, then its symmetry is ruined. So symmetry should be present. Lone pair should not be present. This is one crucial point. One more thing to calculate dipole moment is to check the direction. Is it adding up or is it getting cancelled? Now let's consider few compounds with zero dipole moment. You remember which ones have zero dipole moment? If you have 4 lone pair, and how many bond pairs you have? Okay, so if you're having 4 lone pair like this, and 1 bond here, 1 bond here, maybe. Okay. Okay, so let's consider now which of the molecules are non-polar. Normally, these only keep repeating. So you get an idea. Beryllium fluoride, BF2, polar or non-polar? Does beryllium have any lone pairs? This is the geometry. This angle, this one, cancelling itself out, symmetrical compound. Zero dipole moment. I'm listing the compounds which have zero dipole moments, and normally these only will keep repeating, meaning non-polar molecules I'm telling. Okay, BF2 non-polar. BF3 once again non-polar. Boron doesn't have any lone pairs there, and it's a symmetrical molecule. CCl4 also is a symmetrical molecule where dipole moments get cancelled out. This acts in this direction, this acts in this direction, dipole moment is getting cancelled out in CCl4. Then CO2. CO2 is a linear molecule where dipole moments get cancelled out. Benzene and all you know is perfectly symmetrical. It has zero dipole moment. If I write at para position some groups, then once again its dipole moment is cancelled out. It became 0. But you have to be careful. If on para position you write some atom attached to another atom like OH, quinol, then this once again has lone pair. So it will have some direction. If there is one atom, it will cancel itself out. If there is more than one atom like this, once again, then you will have to check its direction and all, what direction it is. Okay, so this is not non-polar. So I'm taking that out from our list. Cis and trans, you already know, right? Trans compound will be non-polar. So if I'm writing one Cl here, one Cl here, H here, H here, this will be non-polar. These are one set of non-polar molecules which keep coming again and again. We will go to our question now. I know you can't see the options. So let's just go to our question now and see what was the answer. This was in fact 2020 question. Okay, I will write the options here because it'll be difficult for you to see. We are selecting here, and the few options are also there in the next page. So we are selecting option 3 because option C had boron trifluoride, beryllium difluoride, carbon dioxide, and 1,4-dichlorobenzene. All of them are symmetrical. All of them are non-polar. And I'll tell you a few other compounds which were given here, which were polar. Hydrogen fluoride is obviously polar. 1,3-dichlorobenzene, meta-dichloro or ortho-dichlorobenzene are polar. NF3 is polar, pyramidal shape, lone pair is present. Then we have here ammonia, polar, pyramidal with lone pair. Water, certainly polar, we all know it has 2 lone pairs and it's all adding up together. So this is how we can determine. Getting some clarity about this question, right? It was a slightly different question than what we did. Okay, we have very less time here, children. Let's go to our next question. It was very, very easy. I will just quickly mark these answers so you can just compare your answers later. Okay. So which molecule does not exist? We know very clearly helium-2 molecule does not exist. It was a very easy question. Which of the following diatomic species has only pi bond? This was asked. Okay, I remember this question was asked. It was asked in 2019. So C2 is a molecule where you have both pi bonds. Okay, identify the incorrect statement. Incorrect statement is PCl5 is non-reactive because PCl5 is reactive because its axial bonds are weaker, it can be broken. Its equatorial bonds are stronger, so this can be broken or replaced. So we can say that it's reactive. Let's match the following here. Please apply, this is very easy when you apply your formula for these compounds, xenon compounds and halogen compounds. So use that formula there. So you will be getting, I will write the answer here. A, you're getting 2. I don't think I gave you options. B is 3 and C is 4 and D is 1. Okay, so these are the answers for this question. Shall we go to the next screen? Quickly, let's check answers there. Any of these, if you're having difficulty, we can spend some time on these questions in tomorrow's class before we continue. I will quickly mark the answers here. For ClF3, we get 2 lone pairs. Consider which one has highest bond order. We just now discussed that Cn minus has 14 electrons, 3 bond order. Hybridization of these compounds, of course, you can work this. It's very, very easy. You're getting sp, sp2, sp3. Which of the ions are isoelectronic as well as isostructural? This question was actually given wrong. I think you're getting here 2 answers. Can you please check this? 6. It will take some time to count the number of electrons and all. So if you have problems, but I remember that this question was wrong. It had 2 options. So maybe you can calculate and tell me. If you don't get, I will also calculate in tomorrow's class. Going to the next one, sp3d2 is square planar. Can I go to the next question, children? Next page here. 1 more minute I need from you so that we can mark in the next page as well. Okay, so bond pair, lone pair here. So we know the repulsion is LP-LP is greater than LP-BP and BP-BP. And this is a hydrogen, bond angle question. So therefore, HOH bond is larger than its CH. Which of the following statement is false? So option 3 is false. This one you should practice today. Today you have learned. It's an easy concept. It is always very commonly asked. You can see in many papers. Please learn properly. And this one is, both the species are not isostructural, meaning they don't have the same geometry, option 2. And the next one, the question is nitrogen maximum bond angle is NO2 plus 180 degrees. We calculated it some time back. We have one more page, right, children? Can we just see that? Okay, last page. Let's quickly mark. So option bond angle in pH4 plus and pH3 differences because LPBP repulsion. Incorrectly matched pair here. So once again, you can see xenon compounds, so many. This is correct, this is correct, this is correct. This one is incorrectly matched. Option 4, it should be square planar, not tetrahedral. Percentage of S character is high when it is SP. Here it will be SP. So 50% there as compared to SP2, SP3. Formal charge on oxygen, please practice. It's an important question. It comes to be +1. Who has a net dipole moment? Just now we discussed. All the other come in are non-polarless. So SO2 is our answer. This of course is one question which we can, you can count it yourself. And which contain 2 lone pair of electrons on central atom? The answer is option B, I3 plus and H2O. I3 plus it is, children. Okay, so note that. So it will have 2 lone pairs on iodine, just like water. Water also has 2 lone pairs on oxygen. So this is the end. You can just take a screenshot of this question and later compare your answers with it.